Yahweh, building the life of my dreams, Yahweh, es ist so leicht, so fun and easy. Yahweh, 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 Yah. Hey, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Hey, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Let my mind speak. Yahweh, Yahweh. Hey, ja. Ich bin sauber, freundlich und klar. Ich bin sauber, freundlich und klar. Ja, Yahweh. Hey, Yahweh, 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 Yahim. Hey, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, Yahim, Yahweh. Hey, Yahim, Yahweh, Hey, Yahweh, look how good, wie gut ich ausschau, Yahweh. Es ist so leicht, so fun and easy, in diesem Leben zu gewinnen, Yahweh, Yahweh. Let's go into the drive, yes, I am so hard of creating content, Yahweh, yeah. Ich bin so hot and heiß, Content zu kreieren. Yaho, 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 hey, hey, ya, hey, yahim, hey, yahum, hey, yahim, hey, ya, hey, ya, hey, yaho, hey, hey, yaho, hey, ya, hey, yaho, hey. Hey, ya, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahim, Yahweh, Yahum. Hey, Yahum, Yahweh, Yahum. Hey, Yahweh, Yahum. Hey, Yahum. Yahoo, Yahoo, hey, Yahoo, hey, Yahoo, 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 hey, Yahoo. Yes, I'm teaching about human behavior. Behavior, hey, Yahweh, hey, Yahweh. Let's read it now, and let's read also the YouTube Ideas Sheet, Yahweh, in Vorbereitung auf den Call, mit meinem guten Freund Yahweh, 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 hey, Yahweh. Dramas overshadow real problems. Often we reenact a drama in order to not deal with the deeper problems. Dramas give a feeling substitute for real life feeling, etc. The feeling of the fight for some great worthy cause can be satisfied in drama. Drama let feelings happen that are in the emotional memory connected to deeper traumatic feelings. Healing means resolving that which prevents the natural flow of energy in our system. Most physical symptoms are due to either lack of expression or an expression of something that is not you. So the goal of healing work is that the flow of energy, focus, and work is aligned with our natural tendencies. To do that, we focus on finding the patterns, protection, prevention, providing, that bring one aspect of one's life out of balance. Rescuing somebody means rescuing him or her from their responsibilities. The involvement in other people's problems and helping them is a perverted way to meeting our needs. Because as children, we have learned unless we sacrifice our needs to meet our parents' needs, our very survival needs of protection and love are not being met. This is the initial trauma of loss of love, and there are love substitutes. These include attention, praise, admiration, power over others, obedience of others, etc. The initial trauma of loss of love leads to one of three main strategies learned during growing up in certain family dynamics. These are against, being stronger than somebody, not wanting to be like that, towards achievement, for example, or away from, making no mistakes, etc. These are resemblances of this initial trauma of loss of love, being not good enough, being wrong. Also when somebody challenges your viewpoint, for example, toxic shame, failure, abandonment in adulthood, arguments, isolation and loneliness, helplessness, delay of gratification. Core beliefs have the form, I will be happiest if, and if I don't, then this happens. Core beliefs about happiness, myself, my relations to others, and the world. Facebook Live video topics, 2 years of inner work broken down in 10 minutes. What you really need to find yourself. What is it that comes natural to me, what I enjoy the most? How do I want my ideal life to look like? What is my plan to make money with my passion? And then different layers, like a water filler, from coarse to more fine. How to find yourself, what it means, and how to practically do it. Problems, stagnation, afraid to change, afraid of the uncertainty of the world and getting the courage to change. What are problems people struggle with before they know they are unclear about their lives? What are problems people struggle with before they know that they are unclear about their lives? Like kids don't listen, they have problems playing with other kids, they all crazy in a new environment out of the house, the parents are nagging them, etc., etc., journaling notes. As you level up, especially in the beginning, when you're raising out of a slump, you will have to put up with a lot of people's stuff. Not put up in the way of accepting it, but putting up in the will that you will be invariably exposed to it. And that is okay. When you're just getting out of a slump, when you're getting out of a deep place where you didn't know how to go forward, out of a deep slump where you just did not know how to go forward. That's the place for you to start. And you've realized, man, you've regretted a lot of things. And you still want to live the life of your dreams. This is my message to you. You still can. There is still time for you to do this. But you've got to start right now of really making the decision, I'm going to do that, and then set a plan to action and say, I've got to stop a lot of things and I've got to start a lot of things. How do I do all of that in a sane way, in a way that is consistent, and so that I don't burn out, and so that I really truly get to the life of my dreams, knowing that it may take me another 7 years, really. Because right now you got to compete on a much higher level than you did before, and all the actions that you didn't take before, you got to do now, and you got to compress the time, so you got to work a lot, and you got to really work a lot. And this message is meant to scare people off who are lazy and who have just thrown in the towel and who said, well, there's no chance for me anyways. All right then, you're gonna get crushed by the intensity of this time, but this is for all the people who say, I still want to live my life of my dreams. And I'm not here to tell you it's gonna be easy, because it's going to be not. Because it's not going to be. It's like everybody in marketing and personal development promises you that it's easy, and then you buy their course and you realize it never is. I'd rather tell you the truth. It's not going to be easy. A lot of you listening, even if you think you have the heart of a warrior, even you won't make it, some of you. And that is just part of what you gotta realize. A lot of people don't make it, but don't let it be you. Don't let it be you. You can, but a lot more is going to be required than you're going to be willing to do emotionally, day by day. But that's okay, and that's why I'm here to support you guys, because even if the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 years are going to really suck, eventually you're going to get there. The question is, are you willing to make the sacrifice? And I'm not meaning to scare you. I'm just saying, if it's easier than what I've just explained, then that's great. But the reality for a lot of you guys watching is that, because you will have to clean up so many things, and we're going to get all of that done. And it doesn't have to be crushing and hard, but like, you have to be okay with it taking a lot of time. And it will take a lot of time, because life has many years and it's meant to be so. And if you have been messing up until now and not doing the right things, well, then you got to do the right things for years until you really get to where you want to be. And that's okay. It's just, can you be okay with it? And that's okay, because that's how life works, and there's no point in arguing with reality. The question is just, can you be okay with that? That's the real question of that, right? As you level up there, specifically in the beginning, when you are raising out of a slump, you will have to put up with a lot of people's stuff. Not putting up in a way of accepting it, but putting up with, as it will be, you will be invariably exposed to it. A dichotomy to be managed, being shouting oneself into a frenzy of conviction and being a gentleman to your neighbors. That is a reference to an Alex Hormozi Twitter post example. It takes some time to get a habit fully established, and you want to be kind to yourself and mindful when there are many things to pay attention to, and put your focus towards getting better at it. With smarts and conviction, success can happen over time if you don't stop. And I would add, when all of your energies are being employed in the right actions and directions, and you are knowing your strength and you utilize them, there are levels to business. First, you need to be strong in yourself, then strong in your topic, and then you can relate it to your customer. Limiting belief. When I don't feel bad, it means that I'm not working hard enough. When I feel good and relaxed and worry free, it means that I'm not working hard enough and that I could do more. Limiting belief. Why would somebody want to be with me? Promiscuity can come from a lack of center in oneself, and that is what it was for me. Priorities are what is important and what is good for you. Discerning what is right from what feels good. There's a very important distinction here between what feels right and what feels good. The things that feel good do not necessarily feel right. There's a distinction. It doesn't mean going with your emotion, but it does mean going with your intuition, going with what is right, going with what is right and true for you. Feeling weak or needy in one area of life translates to other areas of life because you feel like this about yourself. It adds to the next time you feel it, which is impacting all other areas of your life when you feel strong, independent, and that can be useful. That's why it is important to train hard. For example, I'm a huge fan of practicing martial arts or self-defense just because of that feeling of knowing that you can handle a fight if it comes to that. The competence of knowing that you have your body under control and you can affect somebody else with it. It gives you a feeling of self-efficacy. That gives you a feeling of self-efficacy. And if you usually don't feel like that because you get up and your bedroom is a mess, and then you go into the hallway and you go into your kitchen and your bedroom, and it's all kind of not the way that you want it to be, and you look out of the window and you're living in this weird place that you really don't want to be in, and you don't have very much self-efficacy because everywhere you look it kind of sucks. Well, that has been a manifestation of past action and especially also of past inaction. And that's why it's hugely important to start very small with yourself, learning how to control your own body, how to control your own habits, the inputs that you do, your emotions, your behavior. All of that is important. Success is all around us. Successfully achieved outcomes are ubiquitous. In the same way as I already read, yes, this can truly be the golden age of abundance. Yes. Doubt massively lowers the quality. Doubting in the value or possibility of success of an outcome lowers the quality of the product or service. Yes, you are judging yourself on the things that you believe will get you love. The ego is adaptive and ensures societal cohesion by being aware of how other people would perceive your actions. We have a need not only for physical connection, but also for sharing about ourselves and talking with other people. When I don't talk to other people and share with them about what is going on in my own life, my challenges, my roadblocks, I feel my energy is drained. And then any little thing is just too much, especially dealing with my emotions, writing, producing content, making videos, or making decisions. Or making the decisions on what and where to write things down. As a result of that, I never wrote things down in the first years of my journey, because I did not know yet how to regulate myself. Does that make sense? Sometimes people self-sabotage because they know that that gives them an excuse to either blow up or feel sad when they don't achieve, and they need this as an excuse. The entire system unconsciously manifests the behavior that makes the person. Exactly. Sometimes when we feel a certain way for a long time, we believe it will go on like this forever. But the truth is that it will change with time. People adjust to things quickly. So feeling a certain way for a few months makes them believe that this will go on forever. Many people don't want to feel food or are afraid of being seen feeling good, to feel good. Because they would upset others, know them, that they owe money to, people that they don't want to see happy, because they would indicate that they do well and would make them ask about the money that is owed. This is very, very good content. Sometimes all that is required is to stay consistent with what one believes one should do. It feels like the more you feel you do right, but it's not infinitely much. Hey, I'm having my content ready, When you are negative, you assume that all things break and will fall away and people will leave you, so you test if they really do. Of course, you are right when you take the actions that make people leave, when you hold yourself in a place of trust that they will stay, and things don't break as often as if they do. You move on. It's not the confirmation of the deep belief that things break all the time and that people leave always. I have my life sufficiently together. I've cleaned up the moments of weakness and thoughts everyone's experienced and the most repercussions. Yes, life can be an example or a warning. You're going to radiate your energy anyways. The question is just, is your life going to be an example, or is your life going to be a warning to some people? Saying like, oh, this is not the way that I want to live. This is not the type of life that I want to be. This is not the type of person like I want to conduct myself in. Self-sabotage can be a means to make excuses for oneself to appear that I really am okay and good enough. It's just that I had bad circumstances, like not having enough sleep. When this is the motivation, it will be justified, intellectualized by the mind. Because if I really would put myself in the perfect circumstances, this is really what I see in a lot of self-sabotage that I haven't really seen talk about very much. A lot of self-sabotage, at least what I've researched and other people have spoken about, is kind of, what do you think the outcome is going to be? The outcome is going to be. Like, when you succeed, how are your friends going to perceive you? That type of self-sabotage. But I'm not sure if that's really the biggest thing, at least for me. And I really have to say, maybe it's just, the bias of me attracting people that are like me, who want to work with me, right? Because we energetically sense that we are similar. That could be fairly. So I'm not going to say that this is what I've most observed, but at least what I have most observed personally, and there's some personal bias here, is that much more than just self-sabotage for the sense of that is actually, for the sake of that, is actually, if you really were to give your all, and you were to realize that that is then not even good enough, then you would feel like your dream is lost. On the other hand, when you always have something to give as an excuse, you can at least live with a mental fantasy that makes you feel good about yourself in the moment. Now, in the long term, you will feel absolutely horrible and regretting, in the same way as you're regretting right now the actions that you didn't take in the past and the actions that you did take in the past that were bad actions, right? But at least it gives people like this mental feeling of actually still being okay because they still have the potentiality, but they never really try it. They never really actually try it, never really want to test themselves and find out, is like, can I actually do it if I really give my all? Because people will feel like, well, if I really find out that then I'm not good enough, well, then it's really over. But if I have it at least as a fantasy in my mind, well, then it's at least still a potentiality. Right? Even if my life right now is shit, I can still look forward to the dreams that I have of maybe potentially one day realize it, instead of right now putting myself in a position where I'm actually being tested and have to see, can I actually do it? Do I really mean it? Can I actually really do it? If I really act like I really truly mean it, is that going to be even enough? And I think a lot of people, this is really the problem. Like, this is really the question. In the same way as they maybe don't want to go on dates or don't want to meet another person after, because they know it's like they suck in the bedroom, because they know they suck in intimacy. It's not good, they have no control, they don't know. And that obviously makes you less confident in the experience. And so in the same way, I'm thinking that a lot of people have that challenge of not really going for it, not really pursuing that dream, that life of their dreams, because they realize that there might be, it might still not be enough. Self-sabotage can be a way to show others how hurt you are and how much you're going through. Exactly, this is incredible. Exactly. Alright, so we put here self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. When you are poor and you go into an abundant and clean house, it feels uncomfortable because you are afraid that your behaviors that you're ashamed of will get exposed and that you behave not like the part. So you tend to avoid these environments and only go for poor places with poor people so that your ego doesn't get hurt. You feel attracted to a person energetically and can justify it logically, but it is attractive to you in the positive and the negative because this person is energetically resonant and you feel good around them. And that's why it's very important to find your crowd and surround yourself with good people, and it's not always comfortable because oftentimes you're gonna go there and you feel inferior. But that's why it's important to have also other friends where you can just be yourself and you don't need to perform. But you should also really have a group of friends where you feel like, fuck man, I gotta show up there at my A game. And if I don't, I'm gonna be exposed as the person that I really act like when they are not around. So that you shift towards acting when nobody's looking, just you by yourself. What's the standard you're gonna have? And that's something I have to say, I had to struggle. I sometimes when I'm alone and I'm tired, it's like I fart while I eat. It's not good. Or I pick my nose and eat the shit. It's not great. It's not great. It happens less and less, I gotta say. But I haven't fully fully overcome that yet as well. And so, but that's what I mean. It's like, how do you act? But it has gotten so much better, at least right now, by places like clean. And I like the way that I look, and like a lot of things have transformed. And like, yeah, it's also not about perfection, but it really is about holding yourself to a high standard and really not doing all of these behaviors. Like the behaviors that have fallen away is like I used to like constantly this stress eating, it's like this squeezing my pimples out. I'm not doing that stuff anymore. That's not done. But once in a while, it's like when I get stressed, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, that's still, and talk about that. Talk about it. Make it open. I remember the very story when I was first in Thailand and with one of those healings workshops, and it was very, very healing for me to, in front of a group of women, talk about that I have sexual fantasies with minors and that there's nothing wrong with that. It's wrong to act that, but to think that it's not inherently wrong. Now, I know the thoughts lead to actions, but usually repressed thoughts lead to action. And to talk about that and to share about what's really going on inside of me, the things that I was so ashamed of, that I was like, man, what the fuck is this? I do not want to have this in my head. But like the more I was fighting it, the more it was coming back. And I'm like, okay, that's just basically a manifestation of my own self-worth, of feeling like I'm not man enough to be with a woman, so I am child enough to be with a girl, kind of thing. Right? That really, and that was all that is about. And so once you go to somebody, I mean, that's why I'm also offering my work, because we can talk about all of these weird things that you don't have an explanation of, and I can give you an explanation for that makes sense to you, that makes sense when it has like a positive intent, all of that. So you see, it's not that weird, and you don't need to hate yourself for that. There's no reason for you to hate yourself for that, because it's utterly normal and it's utterly sensible. It makes sense in the situation where you're at right now. It makes sense in the situation where you're at right now that you have that. It makes a lot of sense. Right, the promise of comfort feels so much more promising. It seems to be the more deprived of love you feel, the stronger is the allure of comfort. So self-love will attract a good partner and friends, making you stronger and more resistant to the lure of comfort, because the need of love and connection must be met. If you don't solve for meeting it, it will be met unconsciously in inferior ways. The more deprived of pride and self-recognition you are, the more alluring is flattery. You can only successfully influence somebody with flattery when he doesn't flatter himself enough, right? And that's really true. It's like we have certain needs inside of ourselves. And when we don't meet them, we have certain needs inside of ourselves. And when we don't meet them, then there are consequences of that. Exactly. So the promise of comfort feels so much more promising. It seems to be the more deprived of love you feel, the stronger is the allure of comfort. So self-love will attract a good partner and friend, making you stronger and more resistant to the lure of comfort. Because the need of love and connection must be met, and if you're intelligent, you solve for it by meeting it, and if not, it will be met in unconscious and inferior ways, because you have this need. The need can be met by yourself, self-love, allowing yourself to rest, treating yourself nicely, allowing yourself to drop into this place of like everything is okay the way that it is. Now that doesn't mean you should close your eyes from your responsibilities and not take those things on, but it's like you cannot fix your life in one day, probably also not in 1 month, probably also not in 1 year. So like, are you going to be constantly stressed and hating yourself unless you're really absolutely ultimately there? Or are you going to allow yourself each day in the same way as you allow yourself to sleep, hopefully sufficiently so that you function well? Are you also allowing yourself to just have some time where it's okay, where you've done the things? Because what you realized is that then when you actually have the courage to allow yourself to consolidate, when you actually allow yourself to consolidate, that there are a lot of things that you believe that you need to have that actually you don't really need to have. So the promise of comfort feels so much more promising. It seems to be that the more deprived of love you are, the stronger is the allure of comfort. So self-love will attract a good partner and good friends, making you stronger and more resistant to the lure of comfort. Because the need of love and connection must be met, and if you don't solve for meeting it, it will be met unconsciously in inferior ways. The more deprived of pride and self-recognition you are, the stronger is the allure of flattery. You can only successfully influence somebody with flattery when he doesn't flatter himself.